Hi guys, it's me. I'm here. I'm fine. Um, I'm working from home as I have for the last 5 years, so nothing has changed on that end for me. My routine is the same. The only thing different is wearing a mask to the grocery store and bathing in hand sanitizer and trying to stay away from crazies. I'm in Tennessee. Nobody here thinks that they need to wear a mask. I was the only one at the grocery store the other day with one on. My cashier had not one on. So supposedly restaurants are open for business, half capacity, quarter capacity. Everything else gets to open on Friday, and I'm not going anywhere. Nothing's changing. I'm staying home. I'm not. I'm not mixing with everybody's stew. I mean, no thanks. Okay. The purpose for this video, which you should see by the title once I have this filmed, is May is the Asian Readathon hosted by Read with Cindy. Just to encourage you to read Asian fiction, nonfiction, anything by an Asian author in an Asian setting, anything your heart desires. There are going to be challenges, which I'll post her video link below so you can check out the challenges. They're not required. This is just for you to do organically, whatever you want, however you see fit. I am going to try as quickly as possible to go through because I have 32. These are 32 that I found upstairs in my house. This does not include anything downstairs on my shelf and tubs and totes. So for me to have 32 upstairs means I most definitely do not have to buy any, order any, download any. I'm good because I have always enjoyed anything set in Asia by Asian authors. So when I see one, I pick one up, and this is a great way for me to get some of them knocked out. So like I said, I've already filmed this. It took me like 20 minutes. By 20 minutes, I still had about a dozen to go through, and I thought, we got to get this done quicker. Wet my whistle, Dr. Pepper, Diet and Cream. This is stuff, it's the best. I'm living for it right now. That's my favorite thing. Anyways, first one, kind of cheating. I've already started it, but I'm going to carry it in. Shogun, which sadly I ripped. Not that you can really see it, but I'm keeping track in this beat up, nasty copy because I'm reading it on my Nook Simple Touch. So I just want to be able to see physically where I am. It is all of only 1,210 pages. However, it's very engaging. It's interesting. I thought I was going to hate it, which is kind of stupid. Why start something if you're going to hate it? That it was going to be dry, but it's not. I have actually laughed in it several times. I read a part to my husband. I was like, that was something I would say because apparently I have a pirate trash mouth. Oh my gosh. So, that, I can finish it in May. I just got to buckle down and not get too distracted about other stuff and not focus on it. Okay, The Road Home, Ellen Emerson White. I read this in middle school and remembered it so much that every so often I would think of it and go, who was that? What was the title of that book? Because this was back in the day when you didn't write stuff down. You didn't have Goodreads. You would have a memory. And if you don't have the memory, then you're out of luck. And one day, be it Jesus, be it the computer, aliens, gods, whoever you want to say, the benevolent spirit in the sky, pop this up on a recommendations, either on Amazon or Goodreads. And I went, oh my God, that's what this is. So, that was my book. So it's set in Vietnam during the war, and it's a teenage field nurse who's like fresh out of high school and pushed into being a nurse on the front lines. And I just remember it so vividly. So I definitely want to read this one. Wonton Terror by Vivian Chen. This one I believe is the 5th in the Noodle Shop Mysteries. It's a character who is working at her family's noodle shop in Cleveland, Ohio, which is not what you would expect. Their fluff. Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Siji. I'm not sure if I have read this. I didn't check Goodreads before this. Shame on me. But this one is China during their Cultural Revolution. Sisters of Heart and Snow. This one is two sisters who were kind of separated or apart, and they come back together because their mother is diagnosed with cancer. So it's them trying to rekindle their relationship in midst of this, and how close they used to be. Gal Tsukiyama, 100 Flowers. This one is China, 1957. Many intellectuals fear speaking out. They feel censored, which is a lot like today. And this young boy's father writes an article against communism and gets taken away, and so it's the son trying to, what happened to my father, how's my life going to change. So that. Midnight at the Dragon Cafe. This one takes place in Ontario in the 1950s, and it is a Chinese daughter who is helping run the family's cafe, even though it's her brother's responsibility as the Chinese son, but he is not at all interested in that, so she gets to take his place. Water by Bapsi Sidwa. This was an impulse purchase, which now that I read the synopsis, I know why it was an impulse purchase, because it also sounded interesting. But it takes place in India in 1938, colonial India, and it is an 8-year-old child bride whose 50-year-old husband dies, and she's forced to live out a life of penance for him dying. It sounds a mess, not a mess, but intense. Song of the Silk Road. This one is a girl growing up in Hong Kong, moves to New York. She wants to be a photographer, and then has a rich aunt who kind of is trying to draw her back over to China to go on a trip. So there's that one. Chinese Whiskers by Pallavi Iyer. This one is written through the perspective of cats. I'm not really sure how interesting it will be that it talks about recent Chinese history and the SARS virus. So that one, I don't know. Peony in Love by Lisa C. I feel like everybody knows this author's name. I have read Snowflower and the Secret Fan, which everybody has read, and her most recent one, which was about the diving women. My brain fails me to tell you what the title of it is. But this one is in China in the 17th century. I don't know too much more about it, even though I've had it forever. Shanghai Girls, again by Lisa C. This one is 1937 Shanghai, which was fancy and glitzy and glamorous like Paris. And these two sisters get basically sold off by their father to be American brides in California right at the eve of World War II, when they're going to be dumped into, I don't want to say racism, and thinking that all Asian people of Asian descent are awful, awful, how do I want to say it? Traitors. So they're having to live their life completely different country and completely different circumstances. Pachinko, Minjin Lee. Again, everybody knows this one. 3 years ago, my cousin picked it for a book club, and I never read it. I'm awful. So I have this on audio if I want to listen to it on audio and follow along. But I loved the UK copy so much that I ordered it from Book Depository, because it's so much better than the US copy. I mean, come on. Am I right? The Tale of Murasaki by Lisa Dalby. This one is 11th century, based off of Lady Murasaki's first novel, The Tale of Genji, which was the most popular work in the history of Japanese literature. Wild Swans, 3 Daughters of China, 3 generations of Chinese women, and moving through time to present day and how their lives have changed through Communist Party and Cultural Revolution. Tiger in the Kitchen by Cheryl Lu Lin Tan. This is growing up in Singapore, moving to America, and she didn't want to be like her family, but then as she grew older, she was like, well, I need to, before it's too late, learn the recipes and culture behind the recipes from my aunties and my mom. And so this one sounds very good. Plum Wine by Angela Davis Gardner. This one is an American teaching at a Tokyo university when her surrogate mother, Japanese mother, dies and leaves her a tonsu chest that has bottles of plum wine for each year of her life and a story behind it. And it kind of connects in with World War II and the bombing of Hiroshima. And she, I think, falls in love with her interpreter that's helping her translate the notes that were left in the tonsu chest. Songs of Willow Frost by Jamie Ford. This one is a Chinese-American born boy who is living in an orphanage, and he sees a movie with the character, the actress's name is Willow Frost, and he thinks that she is his mother. So he and a friend go in search of her to try to find out, is this my mother, or am I just really grasping for any type of family? I read on Hotel on the Corner Bittersweet, and it was good. We have Girl in Translation by Jean Kwok. This one is a girl and her mother immigrate from Hong Kong, speak no English, and she has a talent for learning, so she goes back to school to learn English to further her studies. So she's a student by day and works at a sweatshop by night, so it's her trying to triumph and persevere through work. And then the same author, Mambo in Chinatown. This one is American-born Chinese in New York's Chinatown, who is living with her widowed father and 11-year-old sister and a dishwasher at a restaurant. And then she gets a new job and tries to figure out life outside of her, her family. The Lotus Eaters by Tatiana Soli. This is an American photographer in Vietnam during the war, and she has like I don't know if it's a love triangle between a Vietnamese man and a American reporter. So it's their relationship during a very intense time. 1421, the year China discovered America. I can't say that I'm going to read this month because it's more than 500 pages, which it seems like it's longer, but like this whole like back portion pretty much is appendix. So this is going to be dense, to be read sparingly and in small pieces. Snow Falling on Cedars by David Guterson. This was out back whenever I was just a new teen, so I was not at all in this demographic. I was still on the cusp of R.L. Stein and starting to read V.C. Andrews and smutty romance, but this one is 1954, and a fisherman is found murdered, and a Japanese man or a Japanese American man is charged with his murder. So the trial and trying to figure out, did he actually do it? Who did it? What happened? Empress Orchid by Anchi Min. This one is Chinese empresses. Fascinating story. An epic of a country girl who sees power through seduction, murder, and endless intrigue. The Man from Saigon. This one is Marty Leimbach. A female correspondent in Vietnam in love with American TV reporter, covering combat missions, working at field hospitals. Then they end up being Viet Cong prisoners. So. The Valley of Amazement, Amy Tan. I did try to read this one and didn't get very far. Well, actually I got farther than I thought. got about 150 pages in and stopped, so I don't know if I'm going to try to skim and see if I remember or just start back at the beginning. This one is Shanghai 1912, the daughter of an American madam of a brothel. Lisa C. Dreams of Joy. This one is 1957 Shanghai and Red China Dangers of the Communist Regime. Sorry, I'm trying to give brief synopsises because we're at 16 minutes. Holy Cow and Indian Adventure, Sarah McDonald. This one I found in a little free library, and it is an American journalist in her 20s who goes to India to backpack, and then she's like, I want to go home. I'm never doing this again. And then her husband posts a job in India, and she has to go back, and then she is living her life there, immersing herself back in the culture and realizing she was wrong the first time, that she really enjoyed it. Dear Leader, My Escape from North Korea by Jang Jin Sung, which kind of is appropriate right now because we don't know about Dear Leader right now, do we? There's speculation. I feel like I can't say anything, but only time will tell if there's going to be a new Dear Female Leader, or if they will allow such a thing as a woman being in power, because heaven forbid. Basically self-explanatory. Escaping from North Korea. Distant Land of My Father. This one is also Shanghai and Anna and her Japanese mother fleeing Shanghai to America to kind of start a new life. Two more. Grace, An American Woman in China, Eleanor Macaulay Cooper and William Liu, or American Woman in China, 1934 to 1974. So she was I want to say a wealthy woman in China with her husband for some reason, and her living there through these times of cultural revolution and communism. And then the last one, The World of Suzie Wong by Richard Mason. I love this movie, even though it is dated and probably culturally cringy. It is basically the story of Robert. This is in Hong Kong, and he is an artist, and he goes there because he's not well off. He's not poor by American standards, but he's not well off. So he goes there to paint, to take some reflection time, and he finds a room in the Nam Kok Hotel, which happens to be the place where the Good Time Girls go, and there's a bar there, and he kind of sees Suzie, and Suzie is very flirtatious. She's very over the top. She's very, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me. If you get that reference, I love you. I will try to tempt you. And she latches on to Robert, and she will have nobody but Robert. Robert is her one and only, and she is his one and only. And he is trying to get his art sold, and he's with this other woman they're casual acquaintances, but Suzie thinks something's going on, and oh, you're going to marry her, and you're going to leave me, and and it is dramatic as all get out. I mean, drama. But it's so good. It's so good. I don't want to give spoilers. At the very least, go watch the movie. It is on Google Play. You can rent it. You can buy it. It's a 1950s movie. I wish I could tell you, it's on the tip of my tongue, the actress that plays Suzie. I love her. But as a kid, I would stay up late and watch this movie. Anytime it was on the Classic Movie Channel, I watched it. Countless times. I've lost count. I love this. I love this. It doesn't have the happiest of circumstances. throughout. There are some really heartbreaking things. And I must admit, I have never read the book. I've only seen the movie. So it's my time to see if it shines as much as the movie. So, I can tell you for certain, these two, of this whole ginormous amount, will be read. And I have others in there that, yes. But let me know if you have read any of these, if you suggest any of them more so than the others. I know there are probably a ton of these that you have never heard of, or you're just like, okay. If you have any other suggestions, I mean, I'm not going to say no to like, oh, you have another suggestion, I'm going to look for it on the library's website or Scribd. I think this is more so that we're trying to read what we have during quarantine and not be so bye consumer. But I'm looking forward to this. Like, I never really am fully my heart in readathons or, you know, oh, you got to do this and that and the other. And this is a readathon I can get behind. Like, these are the kind of books that almost always can take me away from life and I'm fully immersed, fully engrossed. So for that, I am so looking forward to it. But anyways, this is forever long, so tell me if you are reading anything for Asian Readathon. If not, what you are reading now and in May, if you have plans, how you're doing, how your family is doing, if you have bread, flour, and yeast. Go buy your chicken and your beef because everybody's going to go buy it all now that the media says that we're going to have no meat. It's a great time to eat more fruits and vegetables and less meat. I don't have anything against it, but eating carbs and veggies and fruits is not a bad deal. But I'm done. I'm going to go and stack these somewhere, make a to-be read corner, and get busy. I'm already ahead of the game. I'm started, but let me know. But I always say I'll try not to be a stranger. Hopefully I'll have a good wrap up that I can do of what I read in May. That's it. I did start Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides last night. I've had it forever and ever and ever. Pulled it out of my storeroom. I'm not very far in. I'm like 30 pages, so I can't really have an opinion on how I feel about it, but I hope I like it. But anyways, bye.